Jones Bikes is well known for making bikes and components that fall outside the norm. Whether it's their mix of fat and boost axle standards, the super upright seating position, or the use of extra large plus tires, they clearly buck the trends of mainstream bike design. One product that might take this to the next level is something they call the Gnarwal, a tube that clamps onto your handlebars and is sure to turn heads out in public. I've been using one of these over the past couple of months, and in this video, I'm going to tell you why this thing exists and what I think of it. So let's get into it. The Gnarwal is an aero-bar that, as Jones describes it, is a simple single tube bonded to a beautifully machined two-piece clamp that attaches to the front of the loop H-bar with stainless steel hardware. It uses a 22.2mm clamp, is 8 inches long, and comes in aluminum or carbon. At 101 and 85 grams respectively, both options are significantly lighter than traditional aero bars, and it's all thanks to that extremely simple design. In fact, I don't know how you could make this any simpler, since it's literally just a tube sticking out, which is part of the reason you're going to get some funny looks. Setting up the Gnarwal takes some testing and adjusting of the angle and other aspects, as it'll all depend on what is most comfortable to you and even what your use case is. For example, Jeff highly recommended I tape the front portion of the loop to make it more comfortable on my forearms. I had every intention of following that advice, but here I am months later with bare metal up front. When I thought about why that is, I realized it's because the primary purpose for my LWB falls more on the mountain bike side of things, and it rarely even gives me a chance to utilize an aero position. Obviously, as part of the testing, I've changed that up a bit, and I've been riding more pavement and gravel. But the way my arms fall on the bars, I still find comfortable without tape for 5 to 10 minutes or so. If I had longer and more frequent stretches requiring aeroness, I definitely tape the front part for more comfort. Another tip they mentioned was that you can trim the tube down if you want, but again, I left it as is, and I found that length actually to be pretty much perfect. As for comfort on the tube itself, I use the EVA grip you can get for $10, which is durable, and it doesn't feel as cold in lower temps as some other materials do. Jeff also threw in the Gnarwal ball, which isn't quite available to the public yet. It's a little EVA foam ball that pops on the end and fits nicely in your hands when you're fully stretched out. So how did the Gnarwal perform overall? Honestly, really great. It's comfortable to hold on to, allows you to tuck out of the wind, and is relatively comfortable for long stretches of time. With your weight on your forearms instead of your hands, it's a great position to give muscles and joints a break when you've been riding for hours on end. I found 2 ways of using it. One with my elbows fairly close to each other to be as aerodynamic as possible when I was riding into the wind. And the other was with my arms out wide, my elbows touching the inner edge of the bar for a lot more control, but still tucked down for more speed. By control, I just mean with your steering, as you don't have access to the brakes or shifter, so don't expect to bomb steep, twisty single track or anything like that, but it is great for gravel roads and double track that are a bit bumpy or with some curves in them. I did have a ride or two on single track, but I didn't even attempt to use the Gnarwal here. I just wanted to know what it would be like to ride with something sticking out and see if I would feel like I needed to remove it or not. The good news is it's not in the way at all when you're mountain biking, and I had no fear of it hooking onto a branch or tree like, say, your bar ends would. But the bad news is I could just imagine it being a safety hazard if you rode somewhere with blind corners and lots of other riders, and you can kind of see what might happen if you ran into someone. I'd probably remove it before doing a bunch of mountain bike type rides, but at least it's only 4 bolts, which makes it a quick change. That little Gnarwal ball that I talked about was also something that I really liked. It tucked really nicely into the palm of my hand, and then I could put my other hand over the top of it, and I felt really in control and really stable that way. The only thing I didn't like about the Gnarwal was how it affected my light and cycling computer setup. I love the H-bar for how much real estate you get to put those types of things wherever you want, and the Gnarwal makes that a bit more complicated. It's not from the bar itself that you mount on there, it's from your arms laying across both sides of the loop. It doesn't make it impossible to run these things. In fact, Jones also says you could use the Gnarwal just for mounting stuff if you wanted, but it does require a little more thought to go into the setup. I moved my computer in right next to the stem and considered getting a top cap mount to move it out of the way completely. It worked fine there, but I did have to strap it over the existing bar tape, which isn't ideal. As for my light, I realized I could either run it flipped upside down so it was mounted under the bar, which is what I ended up doing, or I could have removed the Gnarwal ball and figured out a way to mount it on the front and rotate it. There are other solutions and ways to creatively do this, so I wouldn't let it be a deal breaker by any means. One thing I repeatedly ask myself while using the Gnarwal is, would I buy this for myself? The answer is yes and no. I know, I tend to say that. Right now, my answer for me personally is no. But only because I have other bikes I use for the type of riding the Gnarwal is really suited for. My LWB is really my green and blue single track machine, and unfortunately anything aero related doesn't really matter for me there. However, if I was using my LWB for more gravel or pavement, or I guess as more of just an all-rounder bike, I'd 100% get it. In some ways, I feel like it's a better match for the SWB because, as I said in my review of that bike, it has a bit broader range of riding that suits it, much of which is on the tamer side of things. One thought I had was that if someone has a Jones bike with the smoother speedster tires, or another bike for dirt and paved road exploring with Jones loop bars, the Gnarwal is something I've definitely consider. It does a great job at getting you out of a headwind, getting you more aero for more speed, and giving your hands and wrists a break after a long day of riding. So if you're someone who's got Jones loop bars and have been wanting the benefits of aero bars, give the Gnarwal a try. It's simple, it's easy to install, and honestly, it works great. I want to say thanks to Jones for sending the Gnarwal out for me to test. They're a great company to work with, and if you have any questions, I can guarantee they'll be there to answer them. Let me know what you think of this down in the comments, or let me know what else you'd like to see me try out. If you want to see more, be sure to subscribe and consider buying some stickers if you want to support me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.